You have to email me first though.
Yeah.
Your email address.
Hello, it's a good job I didn't say as I walked in.
Write it on there.
All right.
Please,
I didn't realise you were waiting for me. Start without me because I'll be back in
That's
about
fine.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, you're
Yep.
Great.
and Patricia must be on her way, yeah.
Patricia's here, no?
Oh, no, Patricia, that's Cider.
Are you not
Patricia,
coming?
her, yeah. No,
But
Patricia
you're
said she was coming.
No, you.
Yeah, from Pimlico.
Brenda, you not coming here?
Yeah, I'm coming back in about 15 minutes.
Oh, I
yeah,
see.
okay. But carry on.
Okay.
See you in a while.
Okay.
Great.
And if you don't agree, then
Oh, pressure's on.
pressure's on. There's a right answer and a wrong answer.
Don't say any more. Okay. Good to go? Let's go. Yeah, so it's Smart Notebook. So the self, just as a kind of brief overview, smart board, you touch it with your finger, it works with your finger. Work through anything. If it's a web browser, use it with your finger. If you're looking at a document, use your finger. This is just basically a mouse. The difference with a smart board is you've got a pen, and when you pick up a pen, you can write with a pen. Whether that's in the browser, you can annotate at the top, wherever you are, or in a PowerPoint, in Word, or in an Adobe thing, pick up a pen, it's a pen. Pick up a red pen, it's a red. Black pen, black. And those can be all working at the same time, absolutely fine. Then your finger can move those around, or can interact with the page behind it. All that. Back of your hand is a rubber, and again that works throughout anything.
I also discovered that the back of the pen is a rubber.
Yes, the back of the pen is rubber, so you can write there and then write with the back. That's quite nice because it's
But
quite.
also rather with this,
Yeah.
it works
Yeah.
with the palm.
Yeah, it's something fat basically.
Yeah.
I used to work with very small children, so they used to put certain things on the board. So I used the back of my hand because it got dirty. That's just why I say the back of my hand. Essentially, you can take off your scarf and use your scarf if you
And
wish.
they want to touch that screen and there's ours.
Yeah. So these here are in the Smart Ink tools. So these little floaty ones at the side, the black one, I can now, oh, it's not working well on that window. I can then change this to different colours and be working through these little floating tools here. And then I can change my finger to be something as well. But it's all based on that tool. So I've got that and I've got those, and I can be working based on, I can change this to be something. So I can program these to be anything, but if I put them there, it resets them to a black pen or red pen.
You program them to be what?
So my red pen can be programmed to be a different colour pen,
A different color, then different thickness?
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
or a
But no
highlighter.
different function.
There's a few different, so here there's a few different functions. So you can bring up a spotlight that can be moved around and moved. So you can,
That is lovely, I think
Yeah.
I still would. I didn't introduce myself, but I teach the students with learning difficulties.
yeah,
So that is very exciting for them.
yes. And there's, just have a bit of play with those tools. Essentially it's Smart Ink and it can write over the top of anything.
Yes.
Which is great, but it's again, it's quite limited what it can do. The main powerhouse is Smart Notebook, and that's kind of got lots and lots of things in it, which for maths is brilliant. So, hi, take a seat.
I'm just going to sit on there.
Sure,
and
you-
I need to come and go.
Okay, that's fine, no problem. So I've kind of said to everyone else as well, have a go, have a play with it. Talk to each other about it, talk to other people in your school and everywhere else. I've put myself on Twitter for literally that reason, to try and build up my professional network with other teachers. Smart have got a massive user base, 2 million or something like that, worldwide. So if you ask a question, somebody should be able to help you with the answer on that on Twitter with Smart, or you can look at, there are Facebook groups, Instagram, if that's your preference, or just email me and I'll do my best to either point you in the right direction or just give you exactly what you want, but we'll hopefully do that. So I did this with everybody else this morning. Basically I was told to kind of start with a very corporate beginning, being smart. I thought I'd do that, but essentially it's what are our aims today, but how can I make that in a more slightly fun way, and that's by showing the aims like that. So yes, all I'm doing is displaying text, but actually with using the back of my hand, I'm rubbing out a white film over the top, but it looks like it's magic that I've just done it. So the way I did that, I can either pick up a pen, and you can see my pen tools appear, so I put it back, they disappear. I pick up a pen, they appear. And then what pen do I want? I want a pen, which colour, white, what thickness, really thick, and then I can just rub those out. Or essentially, draw over the top. So now I've drawn over the top, it's got pen over the top, I can then rub out that white pen to make magic things appear from behind me, which is useful. I could change my finger to be that pen, or that one, or that one. They can all work in the same, and then I can happily change between those, and I've still got my finger to be something as well, and those can all work all at the same time, being whatever they want to be. And that's the beauty of Smart. The fact that it knows that it's a red pen, a black pen, or my finger, or the back of my hand, which I can go around the outside, and the dot in the middle, and then that clears that as well, which is a nice, quick shortcut.
So you create like an area to clear.
Yes.
When it's enclosed, then you can. Okay.
That's the one. Yep.
Okay.
Let's jump over that one. So this is the slide I used this morning as well. So the whole point of Smart Notebook is it's a teaching tool. So rather than me standing up here saying do this, presenting mode, it's then, it's then shifting over to try and be a student-centered device. So the children come up to the board, they connect with it, and they explore and kind of discover to be part of it. And again, all I've done there is I've got different coloured text. So then the purple is kind of made invisible there, and then the green is made invisible there. So it's just a nice friendly way of looking at it. So also kind of along that line is making it student-centered. So here, because it is multi-touch, we can then put these in order, and these can be all move around and visually see that representation. I'm just going to make that large as well. So this one here, I can make that full screen, and then we can all come and say, because it is, I don't know how many touch it is, 10, 15, something like that.
At the same time.
At the same time, so we can all come in and all move these around all at the same time, happily, or throw that one over there, and order those as we wish. And then it becomes a visual teaching tool, as opposed to just look at these fractions on my PowerPoint, click, next one's in the right place, click, next one's in the right place. And then we can order them, and because I've made them slightly transparent as well, we can put them on top of each other, and we can see that one, or twist that one round. So you can see that one is clearly bigger than that one. And look at it that way. So this one here, to make that, let's find the word. I could either draw a circle here, or I could choose a different pen to do a shape recognition pen and draw that circle. Circle is an oval.
Oval.
It's an oval. That's better. I'll do that one. So now I've got those circles like this one here. So this one, if I wanted to add some more options about it, rather than just the inputting tools along the top, I can then, don't want a triangle, this one I want to be, put extra options at the side. For example, divide the shape into sixths. Now the other ones don't show the fraction, but I could show the fraction on that. Well, let's undo. Divide shape. Sometimes when it's too small, it doesn't quite show them. So 6, so there's the fractions in that as well. And then those can be moved out. And if I wanted to colour those two, I've selected, just by dragging over the top, selected those two that I want to colour, and put those back into place. Then I can select that whole one there, and if I shake it, it groups it, make it a bit smaller. But the other ones, you can see, are slightly transparent. So there you've got the transparency there, you can see that. So now it becomes, I can actually see through it and compare it with the one behind in that way. So it's quite a long process to do those, but hopefully that overview you saw there, and then it becomes that teaching tool. unlocking and locking. What I can do is to lock it, but allow moving. So now I can move it, I can shake it, but because it's locked, it won't come ungrouped. Which can be useful. Great, so that's just another way of saying that it's very visual. So your basic layout of this here is, these here are your actions. So looking at making it full screen, you've got a screen shade. It can be brought down, again, make it quite nice and easy by moving the top or moving the side. If you click on it, it changes the colour. So that's a useful one. You kind of want to reveal stage by stage of what you're doing. Those are the actions there. This one here is a fantastic one. This is the Smart Lab, which we'll come into a bit later on. Or just watch the video from this morning, we did loads on that. And then your panel tools, the ones at the side, are your kind of, the bits that you use most of the time for inputting, well, text, drawing, and all the different ones and all that. Within there is text. So if I just change my pen, you can see the pens turning up already, and there's lots of different pens there. Have a play with those, they're brilliant. Calligraphy pen, crayon, creative pen, paintbrush are kind of as you'd expect them to be. The highlighter one, you can highlight, and if you go in a straight line, it does make it a straight line, which is quite useful for that. But again, rub out with the back of your hand, and this pen is now currently the highlighter. But if I change that to a text pen, I can input text just by writing, which will then change it to text. But also I can edit text. So this morning I showed a sentence, so we can edit a sentence. But if I've got an equation here, which isn't quite right, I can then edit that. For example, I can't remember me doing this one now. Putting in a brackets in there. That one needs a bracket in there, and it inputs that bracket. I need to input the bracket there, put the bracket there. That was that one there.
So when you do that little thing, it opens that box always.
Yes. Or if I wanted to change this 5, that 5 is incorrect. So I circle it and then it edits what's inside the circle. And I could change that to 15. I've got my options here. Was it an L5 or 15? It was definitely a 15. So I've got that one there. I liked my spacing, so I can put that space in there, or that space there, just to make it clearer. Or if I just wanted to get rid of that answer, I can just cross it out and it would go. So it's called a text pen, but it recognises numbers as well with it, and then it can be used for making that equation in that way. So again, back to that visual side of things, I've drawn a triangle here by clicking, making a triangle. My finger is now a triangle, making that one the size that I want it. I'm just going to get rid of that one here. But with this here, I can now visually show, for example, looking at Pythagoras' theorem, I've got those there of the sides. I'll show you how I made them in a minute. So here I've got a 6, 8 and 10, and you can see that the lengths of these actually prove, so then I can prove that 6 squared add 8 squared, 10 squared, can't remember that, I feel it off the top of my head now, I should remember that. So I can visually show that representation, or by putting that one there and looking at the sum of that one and that one, twist that one round, and that should fit in. So that one's there. That fits in there. Look at the interior angles adding up to 180. So it's that visual way of doing it. What I've done, removing this one, this here is infinitely cloned. So I can just bring out triangles. On there, I've got my extra options. So then I can infinitely clone that to make out as many triangles as I want, so I can prove that point. Or if I showed the vertices here, I can show the lengths, or if I show the side lengths, I can see that this is 6, that's 10, that's 8. And then make a square, which is that size, to go here. This size here is now, I can show the lengths, and they're 6.1. It wasn't quite accurate, but so it's that visual representation of that abstract theory done on screen, so the children can kind of really see it and see how it works. I mean, this is the one that I used a lot, looking at younger students, saying that those internal angles of this one, add this one, add this one, is 180 degrees, but now they can see them added together. And if I click on this one here, I can show that interior angle as being 37. This extra options interior angle as 53, and this interior angle of 90, and add those together, I think 180. But again, it becomes that teaching tool of showing it. And then, because I've shown the vertices on this one, I can edit that as well if I wish.
So the movement that you do is touch and press.
So when I touch it, it's just like a mouse.
Yes, but the second one.
To get those extra options at the side,
Would you remember when you touch the vertex on the top?
it's here. This one,
Yes.
I'm just moving it around.
Exactly, but it's like click and drag.
Yes, click and drag. Yeah.
Yeah, just a very basic question that I just want to make sure that I know.
Yeah.
Changing what tool is associated with what tool at the top is just a matter of clicking on it with that tool, right?
Exactly.
So you wanted to change to a highlighter pen with the black pen, you just select highlighter with the black pen. Yeah. And then the black pen becomes highlighter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But my finger is still my finger, and that's highlighted until I put it there, and then it's reset to a black pen.
Okay, so that's when you attach to the board, it resets it to
Yeah.
its default function.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd wait 3 seconds
Before.
it's just in case.
Yeah.
But in a demo way, I know now to wait 3 seconds, just because sometimes when you change it to the highlighter, put it back, pick it up, it's still the highlighter.
Okay.
So, yeah, just
So,
as a kind of
we'll just
teaching
get
one.
rid of the last bit of lines you've just done. That's not a clear page, is it? It'll just be, I'll go into that one now. And if each triangle was to become a different colour, how would you then get each? Shall I just press?
So this triangle I don't want green.
No.
So you can see here that I've got no options. This now, it's a triangle, I've now got options.
Okay.
And I want the colour of the fill colour to be yellow, the line colour to be blue.
Okay, good.
And I've got my lines, I wanted dotted lines around the outside, and I wanted them really fat. Probably not that one.
Can we have this software at home or not?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is Smart Notebook, which you can download at home. Just type in Smart Notebook download, and you'll be able to download it. What you will need to do,
That's why you're gonna practice. Because
of course
it's
it is.
very difficult.
Yes,
Ah, but you need to have a.
you'll need to sign in.
No, but you need to have a proper board, a smart board to use it. No.
No.
Okay.
At home, you've essentially got that, because there's no pen attached to yours at home. So you'll be able to do everything, but just with a clicking of the mouse.
Fine.
The beauty is on a smart board is you've got pens to be able to interact with it. You've got to teach it with it.
If you're gonna use it, you need to prepare, and then you need time, and that's where you have the time.
Yes. But hopefully in the class it makes it a lot easier and
When
makes
I
your
have time,
flow
I'll be
better.
able to.
Yes, of course it does take time, of course.
Okay. When you
Okay.
when you're in the classroom, because you've got the pens, you can improvise basically and do whatever you want. to
Only
do
when
with
you
what
know it.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah, so if you
impressive, actually.
go to your account and sign in, if you sign in with your school
Yeah.
WAES
Yeah.
email, that one, school email address, it's a Microsoft one, so sign in through there,
Mhm.
and then that email address soon will be assigned to a product key, and it'll all work absolutely fine.
Good.
So
Yeah.
that's essentially all you need to do. Just make sure you're signed in up there, and then you're fine. If you don't sign in, you've got 45 free days anyway, so
Mhm.
there we go. So back to that.
You talked about kind of a limited version. What kind of stuff can you not do in the limited version?
Almost like I've got that prepared. That.
Okay.
Some of the lab games you can't create or can't send them out to YouTube, image search, a few bits like that. So not a huge amount. You will when you're working on it on a non-smart board or by the side, you'll have a watermark saying please subscribe.
Right.
but
Okay.
as soon as you plug it into a smart board, that watermark goes.
Okay.
Essentially, it's most of the online cloudy based stuff
Okay.
is there. So it's still a great bit of software, but it's just loses similar things. So back up to that corporate-y slide I had at the beginning, was I had some white text hiding an object underneath. At the beginning it was hiding words, here it's hiding a shape. So you're saying to that student, what shape's underneath this? It's a bit like a feely bag here, but this time it's on screen. And because I can rub out with the back of my hand, we can have those conversations of what properties it's got, what shape is it, what shape is it not, how can you prove that, etc., etc. But all you're doing is rubbing it out and revealing bit by bit to get to that shape underneath. Or if you just fancy it, a monster, oh, he's over there, a monster underneath again. Again, to save that jumping around, that's when it can just be locked in place. Or a coin, what coin is it, why, and then it reveals that it actually is that coin. But all that is doing is changing it to a pen, making it a white pen with a fat one, and then just covering over the top. And I left a little bit so I knew where it was. Yeah, I learned that the hard way. It's there somewhere. So also looking at our razor tool is if for my students they should know the next process in that stage, which would be,
Expand the bracket.
there you go,
Collect your light terms.
there you go, and then that's it.
That's it.
Yeah, I was thinking that is it. So, but if you've already taught that and you've taught the reasoning behind it, and it's more of a, yes, that's, I mean, you could even get, if I just undo that there, they should be able to speak that to you. But rather than you writing frantically, which tends to look quite messy at the time, you can just say, yes, that's it. Or, at a time, expand that bracket. Okay, we've got that one. Add, expand that bit, expand that bit. So just by rubbing out your hand, you can focus on what's being said and what's being taught, rather than the actual recording of scribbled handwriting.
I know you wrote the equation, didn't you?
Yeah. So beforehand, what I've done is I've written that equation, I've locked it in place so it didn't move out of the way, and then I've put that white pen over the top. So then when I rub out that white pen, it reveals that underneath.
What I normally do, I normally put, you see we've got the letters and we're collecting like terms. Often if I get to collect the like terms, I normally put the letters in a different colour. So when I do my text.
So I can unlock that here. So now I can edit that text. So if I want this one here, again, my colours, my options at the top, I wanted to make it in bold, or the colour one of that one to be green.
Yeah. So that when it comes further down.
That one in green.
And then 11B should be a green.
Yeah. Again,
And
it's
then-
just how much preparation you want to do and how you want to set it up for your class. Essentially what you could do is you could change that to a highlighter. So if I just go back, that's how we have the text there. Now this pen is going to be set up as a highlighter, a yellow one, okay? So then I can rub that out there, and I can say, look, yeah, B, B, B. Rub this one out here, yeah, B's there. A, I can circle, circle, circle. So because I've got these different pens, I can set each one up, and I can keep that in my pocket, and that's always going to be a highlighter until I put it back there. So if I'm going on to the next page and doing something similar, I've still got that as a function until I put it there and it's reset. Okay. Just missed the magical appearing of equations we were talking about.
Ah, yeah, the revealing, yeah.
I'm not doing it again, I've done it 4 times already.
This is,
Oh
yeah.
gosh, sorry, I didn't realise. Can I just ask another question? When you're doing
Yeah.
to the power, but have you done that already as well?
No.
No,
Oh,
just for the quick recap.
Yes, yes.
There it is,
I know,
simplify.
great.
And now it's simplified again.
Yeah.
So to the power of, if you are looking at, let's just undo that one. In there, I want to, I've got those options there.
okay.
So then I can talk about that one and type in that, and it's there. There is an equation tool I'll come into in a moment.
Okay.
So within at the side here, the gallery. So the gallery is loads and loads of different resources, and it's full of massively amazing, brilliant stuff, and loads of stuff you will never ever use in your life. But have a look through them. One I would really go for is this interactive multimedia or widgets. So if you just type in the search, type in search for widgets, they're really good ones. And one of them is dice. We looked at this morning of how to customise those dice in different ways, but this one here for a maths wise, make
Isn't that lovely?
if x equals 0, solve the equation. Off you go. Right, you've done that one, too slow, you haven't got time, make y the subject. So I prepared this beforehand, and quickly I've got a starter. Yes, it's the same one, never mind, we can go again. But all I've got there, and I've got a dice, but because that dice can be customised, I can add in text and do that.
Is it possible to make a dice that's more than 6 sides, or is it a specific 6-sided dice?
It's a 6-sided dice.
Okay.
You can make it 4 and just have a blank one.
Or some people make 8 size, but they like to really make kind of triangular shape for the.
There
because
might
we
be
use
some
a
ones.
few,
No, it wouldn't be
in
particularly
the sensory
fast.
room, we were asking for more option than 6.
Yeah.
So there
Yeah.
is a kind of design. to them.
Yeah.
So just to add the text in, just touch the position that you want.
Yeah, and just edit it that way. There are the traditional dice as well. You can change the colour of them if you wish, and you can customise them. You can put pictures in there if you wish. Go back to the text, and then if I just get rid of that, you can then multiply those dice up that way. So I'm just going to change that back to a traditional one. I can't stand the blue one. So then if I've got multiple dices there, even if it's the fact that this is thousands, this is hundreds, this is your tens, this is your ones, I then click there, round that number to 1,000. Then I can duplicate this one, so I've got one here. If I clone that, I've got then another load set of dice, so I've now got those. Using the same theory, add those two numbers together, multiply those two numbers together. It's just playing with dice, but
Yeah.
now
Can you get one dice a different colour?
one dice, no.
They've all got to be the same colour. The reason I say that is because of how I.
One noise,
Yes, you
one
can.
face, one face.
I say, I don't say that's.
So
got-
theoretically, you could just make one dice, one dice, one dice, one dice, rather than.
Yes.
So as in, if you cloned one dice repeatedly, you could make them all different colours. So that's one dice, which means that you can change the colour of that one dice, but then you can clone that dice, which will make a different dice widget, which you can change the colour of.
Then do another one.
I could make, see, I copied that dice and I could copy another one. I'm just adding different amount of widgets in.
Clone
So-
is an actual option, is it?
Pardon?
Clone is an actual drop-down option. is
Yeah.
it?
In the top right corner, yeah.
In the top right there. There's clone appears on
All of
on
them,
most things, or even infinite the clone, and then you can have bring this
Clone and
dice out
change
and
the colour. Clone and then
gone.
change the colour. Your second dice.
Maybe you can't infinite clone widgets, I don't know.
yeah, maybe. I'll go for that option.
It's that point at which smart notebook looks like, that's too smart.
You might be able to now because widgets you have to click kind of in certain places to get certain functions up. So if I click outside it, the menu goes or appears. It's just having a bit of a play sometimes with that one. But yes, now I can have multiple dice in multiple colours. But they're really, really good. So looking down this options here, we've got the gallery here, which where we found the widgets. At the bottom there is Smart Exchange. Now Smart Exchange is like a big online dump of resources, and there is loads and loads of stuff which is really good, and loads of stuff that isn't. But within that, for maths wise, there is papers, your isometric paper, your square paper, your line paper, there is every graph paper.
Templates.
Yes. So once you've got those, they will then appear at the side here, and then they can be used. For example, if I just go to the gallery, the maths pages, and you can see here that there's loads of different sort of types of one. Then I just drag and drop, and that on that one, that's one I wanted, or 100 square papers.
So this is just a sort of background that you can
Yeah.
just drag and drop in.
Can you demonstrate the fractions again on that pie chart or circle?
Yes.
Just before we move off this, to what extent can we edit these resources that we've just dragged off the thing? Are they freely editable?
It depends which one.
Okay.
This here is a page.
Right.
So it is basically a picture that you draw over the top.
Right.
If it's interactive multimedia,
Okay.
then it is an object on top of your page, and this one happens to be a 2 which has got sound attached, apparently.
If the sound was.
Maybe it's our speaker, is it?
It should be working.
Oh yeah.
And maybe I've just not clicked in the right place.
2.
There you go. So that's already saved in there. These pictures that you drag and drop in are just pictures, so you can edit them there. Themes and backgrounds do your whole, there they are. There's that paper, there's lots and lots of different papers all at the side. And as I drag them into that page, that becomes the background. Or polarized coordinates, just what you always wanted. But there's lots of different ones, and you just have a play for them. If they aren't there, they're on the Smart Exchange. We did look at doing the fractions
Yeah, was
beforehand.
that one of the interactive?
We
Was
did it
that
with
one
pen,
again? Oh, that was pen. Yeah, that was pen. Okay. Yeah.
or you can just draw a circle,
Yeah.
because they've got certain presets
Yeah,
of shapes.
Yeah. Then you went to the drop down. Is it?
And then this one
Yeah.
is that drop down, divide that shape into
That's very
12.
useful, is it?
I find it really useful.
Yeah.
For sometimes the students don't understand the relationship between the sectors in their they don't know how to order the value of the fractions. They get confused with the denominator and numerator. And that's a very good way to show that.
If I was to show a circle in quarters, I want to identify fractions, percentages and decimals, because I normally teach them all together. And then I wanted to indicate that quarter represented 0.25 and 25% writing, isn't it? That's what I got.
Oops. Yeah,
It's
it's
a writing
then,
job then, isn't it?
come on.
Reset.
See, there you go. Every now and again it doesn't quite reset. Or even do anything. There we go, it's a little slow set today.
Yeah, it used to that.
25%.
Yeah, and then 0.25. Okay. So therefore it has to be written on top.
Yeah. Well, those there are all too big, so I can just change the thickness.
And shape recognition?
So that, yeah, the shape
Those
recognition
numbers?
is in.
But I mean on those figures, if we don't get it, do we?
Can you can shape it?
No.
Not
It's
with
a pity,
numbers.
isn't it?
Yes.
The text option will also recognise numbers if you write them, right?
Yes.
Which means that you could essentially just write text on top of the shape.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And if you chose this one, then this is an equation adder. So you could now add in 25%. It should crash notebook. Send it. That was annoying.
We would like to send a report that as soon as we wrote a 25% into Smart Notebook, it went, no, time to go.
That crash will go obviously straight to Smart, and hopefully they'll know why it happened.
Yeah.
So it's always worth pressing send, and if you haven't got any notes saying during this I was doing this and this and this, obviously that really helps.
So it goes straight to them and.
It goes
for
straight to them.
analysis,
Yeah, their office in Calgary, and they'll get all that. So
Good.
the more it crashes, the better for us.
Sorted.
Yeah, but obviously not mid-teaching, mid-teaching, whatever it is. Yeah, so Smart Exchange will have all of those stuff like that. It used to look like this with lots of stuff. The new version is looking a lot cleaner. and you can upload your own content, download content, and there's loads of stuff in there. That's really good.
So it's best to get it from the tabs, from the it's online.
Yeah, it's quicker and easier to go straight from Notebook because there's loads of stuff there. But if you can't find it, it should be online.
And it's a dash
You've got a chapter in Notebook.
Oh yeah, I'll come to that in a minute. There's just more online.
Yeah.
Because obviously, if you're shipping out a gallery
Yes.
for the whole world of everything, then it's huge, and people might complain that it's hard to install. But so that's that one there. I'll just see if I can go back to this tool.
Yes.
But you don't do already?
No, I'll do the protractor in a minute.
Oh, that's just.
I'm just looking at my
Oh,
my
I
lesson
see.
flow.
I didn't-
Is
oh.
there- let's jump. Let's just
No,
do it.
no, it's fine. No, you follow your.
It's fine. It's fine. Protractor. So here are some measurement tools. So you've got a ruler, protractor, set square, compass. And if I click on protractor, a protractor appears. I can have multiple ones. That one I'm just going to now get rid of. Let's get rid of them both. And then add in a protractor. So if I click the middle bit, it moves it around. This bit here, change the size, and then the outside rotates it. So I can move around this little bit here, makes it a big one, or a normal one. And essentially this is just then your protractor that you wish to use however you wish. But if you click on it, that appears, which is brilliant. Because then you can make the angle you wish, for example, 60, and send it out. And I've got that angle. And then I can be making those there, send that one out, and that one's there. And then going back to that white pen, if I click on, I might as use the pen, change the colour, white pen, can cover that one up. You say again to the class, what angle is that? Have a go. It's 40. So it's again using that same rubbing out technique, but layering over the top. You can also print out these as a PDF. So if I go File, Print, it will then give me the options to print out my notebook file. If I then have got a bit like worksheets, so if I have then coloured in all the angles, I can then print it out, and that will be 40, the angle of 40 degrees.
It will show 40 with the answer? Or it will
Not if
show-
I cut, I'm just going to colour it in blank this time. Or this one here. This one I have separated. So if I shake it, it separates, and then this 32 can be moved out. Essentially, I can move these lines apart as well.
So you can print.
And then I can print that, and then those will have, it's my worksheet. Go and measure those angles, rather than that kind of Sunday night feeling of using a pen. Where's my protractor? I've got to make a worksheet for tomorrow morning. And getting it exactly right, the angles. You can draw them like this, send them out, and they're exactly the angles that I want. Doing that, which is useful.
You carry on, I'm just going to drop in.
That's fine, yeah. And again, the same for a ruler. I just insert my ruler. With that there, you can then draw that straight line on your ruler. So that makes that, and then change that one. The outside changes there.
Okay, you can do angles on it. Okay.
And then with the ruler as well. And obviously then you can get the set square in and start playing with that. And I've never needed a use for a set square, so you can, if you know how to use a set square, by all means use it. But I didn't need it in year one. So that was really good anyway. And then the other one is the compass. So if you just click on a compass, essentially it's a compass. And if you move it around, you move it around. If you pick up the red pen, it will turn to red. And then if you're clicking it, it's making a very, very small circle. So let's just make it larger and then make that circle there. Let's change that pen to green, and move it over there, and then it's that one. Which is great. Move it around that side.
How precise can you be?
Pardon?
How precise can you be? If you want to make concentric circles, would you be able to do that?
If I wanted to do what, sorry?
Concentric circles.
Concentric circles, yes. So putting it there.
No, but precision.
Concentric circles is not something on my everyday vocabulary.
Could you tell
It's a
me?
concentric circle.
Where do you use it? When do you use it? Concentric circles?
I'm interested in that.
Okay, so I was trying to work out which lesson.
You
What are
if you want to
concentric
divide,
circles?
if
I'm
you
not
want to
really
make
circles
a,
into around each
if
other.
you can
I
teach
don't know about-
math with
Doesn't know,
concentric
there's a very
circles.
diagram.
Yeah. You can make it as accurate as you want. I can't.
Yeah, the width of the radius of a circle you is done by that 131, I'm presuming. You measure all.
Yeah, no, let's say you want, because for example, I was teaching my students things like the circumferences of the earth and things like that to learn math in a more
Yeah.
modern way related to what we need. Yes, that's what I mean. So then you set up them, okay, there we are. That's what I mean, precision, but like that.
And then that one there, I could even
Yeah, because you can
clone,
put a
clone that one
It's
and put it
easy,
there.
Yes, that.
Or this
that.
middle one, I could then even infinitely clone it. So then I've got, move my black one to there.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I mean. And then you can find laws in there.
I also
Yeah.
imagine that there's probably a widget for that, or like a Venn diagram background of some sort. If you
There
wanted
will
to
be a
put
Venn diagram
Yeah.
background like that. But essentially, I mean, the
Yes.
quickest way
For example.
is if you wanted to make a Venn diagram, you can turn your, even if it's just making a shape recognition, I've got one there, and one there, and one there.
Yes, yeah. But you don't need to be precise on that one.
Yeah.
Bisecting a line. So you do a triangle and you want to bisect. Just tomorrow's lesson.
So I'm trying to remember my maths vocabulary here. So I've got a triangle.
Yeah, so you're gonna have a triangle, you're gonna.
What sort of triangle?
Let's do 90 degree, then you can halve it to 45.
There, I saw one.
Yeah. So a triangle there.
Yeah, and then you're going to half it, so you got to 45. Yeah.
Right. So you wanted it exactly
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
You need that square thing that you didn't know how to use.
Yeah.
That's what you need.
Oh, yeah, I can
that
use a set
triangle
square.
thing that will give it to you.
Yeah. Set square.
Yeah, that one.
That one. Always got to use.
No, you turn it to the right, so you make the square, the right angle with that first. No? Turn it around, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
If you wanted to be precise, you could probably start whipping out rulers and things like that.
Well, I would have said that's pretty precise
That's
Yeah,
very
because I can see that it's
That's
exactly
like
45.
Yeah.
And what you could do to check that it's accurate, you've got a ruler. That one I can then angle that down at 45-ish.
48. So rulers at 48, rulers at 45, there we go.
That ruler is at 45. This ruler here, I could then clone. So then I've got two rulers, one saying that length and one saying that length, and check that they're the same that way.
And I guess some of our braver learners can come up and demonstrate as well.
Yeah.
Also
I can
embedding
then
your
draw
IT
that line
skills
there.
and confidence.
Make sure that that one is the same, so this line I can then compare the lengths that way. And because I've drawn it on the ruler, it's then the correct angle as well. So yeah, it's thinking about what tools do I need to do. But essentially anything that you can do on a piece of paper using a ruler and set square, how would you prove it on a piece of paper? You could probably do it the same way,
Yeah.
just in that visual way of this way. It's just, this becomes a bit more natural to us because we've done this for years. And this is, well, what process do I actually do when I do it autonomously? I do it that process.
This is really good because tomorrow, Thursday I've got to demonstrate bisecting a line. And you'd have a cross basically. And you know you've got to get half. So this is very good because it's so visual and it's so big.
Yeah.
Because it's very difficult to teach. And normally it's taught via videos like it. So this is very interesting.
Actually get the learners up and
That's what I mean.
Interesting.
Yeah, because sometimes they forget
because
what
they'll
was.
reinforce their own learning then as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, then there's the straight lines there, so now I've got that straight line.
Yeah.
And you could say, well, what's half of it? Is that right? And then let's just, you can clone that one, and are we correct? That one, you didn't want that colour, so you changed the colour of that one. So those are the kind of options there. So to jump back again, hopefully this equation thing will work this time. So in my add-ons at the top here, I've got two kind of equation things. The bottom one allows you to draw equations in this little thing here. So I know that I can draw 2 over 4 times 6 squared, all of that over 5 equals L. And then my equation will be here, and then that can be inputted into my document there. It's a bit big, so let's just make that smaller. So I've drawn that equation by my hand, but it appears in that format I wanted. I know that Notebook recognises fractions, powers, things, and those things like that. And I learnt that by going to this top one here. That top one is for kind of like your typing version of the drawing one. So here it gives you all the different options of what you can input. For example, I know that there's the fraction one, and I can just type in my fractions there, or whatever. I mean, I've never found a use for that, but maybe that's why I got my E at maths in A level.
That's my favourite fraction, right hand arrow over thumbs up.
that emoji-based fractions. But it gives you those what Smart will recognise in that insert equation, and then once you've kind of learnt what it can recognise, you can then handwrite it in. Hence why I knew it could recognise these, because I'd looked at this one.
So whatever's in that bank will be recognised.
Yeah.
And then it can reveal the answer, you see, my favourite too.
I like the other bit, you can write the question
really like this.
touch it, that becomes print.
Exactly, yeah. Which, when you're writing normal text, it's quite nice to see it handwritten. But when you're writing equations, to be able to have it neatly done that way is brilliant. And then you can, because it is then written text, it should be then.
Does the text recognition tool allow you to also change the font? Which would be more of an ESOL question than a maths one.
Yes.
Good.
But not in your equation one. It's
Yeah.
stuck on that font, which I've just found out.
Okay. I mean, that's fair enough. It's just as an ESOL person, I get a bit fussy about what font I use.
Well, completely, yeah. Yeah, so those are just at the top here, and you can just set the defaults that way. Geogebra, do you use it at all? Geogebra.
No, go.
Blah, 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 blah. Geogebra is a fantastic graphing tool.
Oh, is that the one that moves?
Yeah.
Oh, the moving one, yeah.
So you might recognise the logo as it grows. What
Yeah.
we teamed up with Geogebra a while ago and basically put it inside Smart Notebook. So it's a brilliant maths graphing tool, but it's normally kind of web-based or something like that. But because it's in Smart Notebook, it means that you can draw an equation, drag it in. My pen's fingers still on that. Drag it in, drop it, and your line is drawn for you. Or x equals y squared, bring that one in, drop it in, and that one's plotted for you. It can then be moved, and you can see here how my red line dynamically changes as it appears here, or even just that one with the adding points there. This I will not confess to be an expert on, but if you use Geogebra and these make sense to you, have a play with it, and it is a fantastic graphing tool. Even the fact of adding your points, and then you can select those points. How do I do that? Selecting the points, and you can add a line. Lining up those. I think I might have to do that on the computer. Actually, I'm not sure. Go away. if I hold down Control.
Right.
So I've got
Hold
all those
down
points
Shift.
appearing down there, and then put a line, and then I can add in whichever line I wish. But again, if you don't use it, you lose it, and I've forgotten how to do those.
Okay, one thing.
But-
Squared,
Yeah, oh sorry, so the squares, I'm still on point.
squared paper.
In here,
Okay.
so you can add the squares to it. You can
And it's got
zoom,
its own, okay, and it's,
I can zoom in on a particular point of it, and then obviously then your axes change dynamically based on that. It can be moved around. And there. But essentially it's just having a bit of a play, and the graphing tools that you need to use are on there. You can reflect them over the points as well. But all of that is, there's some more options down here in the Geogebra, and in this add-on here, this is the online huge resource of Geogebra. Pre-made content coming at your ears, searching for it like that.
Just, I thought, I never expected that it could be there, but since it's not there. Is statistics and graphics for statistics?
I don't know. So, would that be just be that's analysing the graph in a certain way?
Yes,
isn't
for
it?
example, if you have a set of data, and
Yeah.
you have 3 different type of graphs, so you can show the students how it will look the data in different type of graphs, and which one will be more appropriate for that data,
Okay.
to explain that data, as an example.
Yeah.
Of what I do, but for that I need to copy and paste several different kind of graphs, or create my own in Excel.
Yeah. You could create your own here. And we could put them in the different colours using the pens. If you knew it was, for example, an X equals Y style, you could put them in there. You could plot your points and do it that way. And then the graph equation would be at the side of the points you've plotted. Or you could type in your points here, and it would create your graph for you.
Okay.
I suppose the highest number we got to number 9, could it be bigger?
Yeah. I mean, it's essentially it's.
Okay, no.
I wouldn't like to say infinite, but
No.
it's
Let's
essentially.
not make any
Going.
promises.
Is that the right,
How non-committal would you like?
Yeah.
is that the
Go
largest
on.
you can get that graph?
Pardon?
Is that the widest the graph can be?
If I go full screen with that,
Okay.
that's a bit bigger there.
Can you drag the bottom corner of it to make the widget bigger? Or?
It would, but then
Compromise.
I've got the height of it. I
Okay.
can't move sideways with it.
No.
So,
So it's locked to that kind of particular widget shape.
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
You
Can't
can't
decide.
just resize a widget
Get some
however
fun
you
tomorrow,
want.
aren't
That makes sense.
Some are,
Yeah.
they're limited, otherwise it will just lose its visual
Yeah, exactly.
use.
No, I'm like trying to think about how to program custom widget
Yeah.
resizing, and I'm just like, no.
With the shape recognition pen, that is the list of what it recognises.
Yeah.
So if you have got that pen, being a shape recognition pen, it does a circle, curve, an oval, square, rectangle, triangle, arc, irregular shape, and then the rest of it is just straight lines. So, again, it does the,
Question about these little tabs on the left.
Yep.
Is that inbuilt into the programme for training if people
These
go-
tabs or
where you
this
keep
one?
clicking where it says compass of 26, 27, 28,
yeah.
is that something that is there so if people,
So when I was at home,
yes,
I made my lesson for you.
right,
This is my lesson.
right,
If you opened up a new one, it's just one of them.
right,
And then for every page you add, it add in your content.
right, I'm with you.
And then, but then if you scribble on it here, it gives you that, it's like a PowerPoint,
Yeah.
your preview mode here.
Right,
But you can hide that, so it goes, and you haven't got it.
yeah,
If you wanted more space,
no,
But
It was more from an aid memoir for teachers that if you've got your slides there, that if they went, oh, what's that ruler again, and went back and went, oh, that's it.
exactly.
But you can also, it looks like you can label the slides. With,
Yeah. You can label them on the side. I like to know the flow of my lesson, so I know what's happening next. And when someone says, oh, can we do that? And I say, oh, yeah, we're doing it in a minute. We'll go with the magic pen. Essentially, so I'm changing my pen to a magic pen. And if I am writing, it might be that I'm modelling how to do an equation. And then I do that bit like that. And that's the process. So you've seen me do the process, but I don't want you to actually have it on the board. So it vanishes.
Ah.
So you've seen it, quick, remember it, and now go and do it.
And is it available again, or is it gone?
It's gone.
Oh.
It's magic, it's gone. What you can do is to draw a circle, and that will become this highlighter spotlight, which you can then move
I
around.
really like that.
And it goes back to the equation.
It's so
That can be
cool.
moved around the screen. That's it, it's just a spotlight. That equation's gone, it's vanished.
Oh right, I'm with you.
So
I was
gone
going to
is
the
highlight
magic
it
pen
again.
is used for the spell tool as well.
Yes.
It doubles as that.
You can then write it in here, but because this is still on magic pen,
It'll
that
go
will
in
vanish. If I pick up this pen, I can write in. I can't write around the outside, but I
And the
can
blue
write
one will
with
go,
that pen.
but the red one will stay because it's not vanished.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, you can use that to hide things, isn't it?
Yes.
Instead of two alternatives, the rabbit
Yep.
or all that.
Yeah. What I will say is, with that,
See through.
you can see around the sides.
It's good for focus.
Focus, yeah. Yeah. I did when I was teaching about buildings. Why is that building there a Tudor building based on this part of the picture? What's the properties of that? Is it there? I know it's not maths related, but that's just a way of doing it.
Yeah.
If you're reading text, I had that in a line there, so I've got a whole busy page of text, but just to highlight, back to the dyslexic side of things as well, you are just reading those words inside that box. You haven't got the whole blur of everything. You can just read it stage by stage, which is useful. And then the last one is the square. I say square in the loosest sense of terms, becomes a zooming tool.
Oh.
So a quadrilateral zooms, a spherical object is the spotlight, and then everything else vanishes. Even the fact of a triangle will just vanish because it's not a square, it's not a circle.
Yeah, you still
It's
got it
just-
on vanished pen.
Yeah.
Why is that V up there still there?
Because I very, very quickly, whilst it was vanishing, print screened it,
Oh.
and then so I could demonstrate that
Oh,
it
right,
didn't vanish.
okay.
So that's actually an image.
That is a picture.
Yeah.
That I've locked. I don't know where I've
But
done
don't
it.
worry, it's alright, I'll get you.
Oh, there we go. So yes, it's just a picture. The other one is an infinite clone. So if I've just brought in a picture,
And can I ask you, where you get this little thing up in the corner, the infinite clone, when that disappears, where do we get it from? Sorry, where does that come from?
my picture or the menu.
Your picture?
That picture was from the internet.
Oh, right, sorry. Right.
So you can just Google any picture,
Right.
whatever it was,
So
and
I
I'm
thought
just
it was
happy to bring
actually
that one in.
That was a particular.
No,
But
this
you
is
can.
just a picture.
But you can get pictures, can't you, from
Yeah,
gallery?
in the gallery here, there are some pictures. So if I wanted that one instead, I just thought the monster was a nicer
No,
picture
sorry, I
than the fruit.
think I thought that, a
Sorry,
bit like
yes.
the spotlight, that little
Yeah.
thing was the clone. Icon. Sorry.
Function, feature.
Technically, that's a
we-
smart monster
Can you just go
linked to
back to the
communication.
spotlight and the other one a second? The spotlight and the
Yes.
Spanish or whatever it was.
Yep. Magic pen.
Yeah. Ah, that's where you got it from.
So I chose my pen. In this case, I'm programming my finger
Yes.
to be a magic pen.
But where did you get the spotlight from? You clicked on some. Oh right.
I
I'm with
used
you.
my magic pen
Right. Yeah.
to make a circle.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Or I can change my finger to be a pen,
Yeah.
or back to normal. So this one here,
You can't default you can't default your finger, can you? There's you can only
No.
Yeah. So
you can
it's
default
only
the pens.
Yeah, yeah, but there's no way to default your finger.
Not doing this.
Because that would be
I was going to say.
no. It's probably a way. No. So now I've got that image in, I can infinitely clone it, and then obviously making arrays is great. and so on. Just that quick revealing that way. So that's kind of a great way of looking at maths in general. And the last thing, I've kind of got over time again, is these smart lab games, which we looked at loads in this morning. So there's another plug to this morning's video. But with a match 'em up one here, this time I've added pictures. So I'm matching a third to a third, and they're linked.
I think Saida has to turn around and look at this image because it's very much adult based.
Oh yes.
Oh, there's a pen. I think it thinks you're using the pen.
Yeah.
There we go.
So sixth matching with sixth. Half matching with a quarter. Oh, with a nice bit of visual sound as what's going on as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely spot on.
So, got a great one.
These games, are they part of the gallery?
So these ones here are all in Smart Lab. So
It's
smart-
all a smart lab. Fine.
This one here.
Yes.
And within that, there's loads here, and then they're for you to make. And
You can make games.
they're so easy.
Really?
So
oh, how fantastic.
So this one here, all I've done
Oh my
is
God,
I've chosen rank order, but
Uh-huh.
within rank order, I've just typed in that, and that's it.
Wait a minute. What was that? Ah, the answer. Yeah, okay.
So I've typed in the order of which I want them.
Yeah.
Click next. I didn't want the monsters. I wanted the pirates. Click finished, and that's it.
And just yeah.
How does the computer know that? I mean, you have to ask, I want an ordering game or something like that.
Yeah.
So you got a type of game that will order automatically.
Yes.
You don't have to set it up to order.
You need to tell them you want to order it.
Yes.
So here, you'll want to rank order. So in the rank order, you can order anything.
Okay, I want to explore that. Okay.
Select the activity, type in.
So the definitely set kind of games with.
I've got a challenge.
Sorry.
I've got a challenge.
So now I've just made this game whilst we were sitting down here. There it is. You're only ordering 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes, that's
Five.
what I was thinking.
But I've made that.
You see, I
Yeah.
teach students with learning difficulties.
Yeah.
Oh, this is fantastic.
Yeah. These can also be sent out to devices. So it might be to computers or to laptops or phones or whatever as well. That's
And
another
can you
plug
sell
for it.
it as can you sell it as an external game?
Yes. You can.
XC?
Pardon?
Executable file. When you sell
Ah,
it, and then
no.
you can run it everywhere you want. No.
You can put it online and send it out online through Smart Learning Suite Online. Another plug to the other video.
And
Earlier on.
Another video we recorded this morning about Smart Learning Suite Online. You can do it that way.
fine. And it will belong to a smart notebook.
Yes.
Fine.
So all of those, so that training file there, you can download for yourself there. Again, there's loads of training material.
How can I have the copy of this?
Yes, if you just type that into your web browser.
Well, bit.li/flower. Okay, I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I forgot my mobile, my telephone at home. Fine.
Okay, I've got one thing that
Yeah.
I went to
If
my
it doesn't work, just email me,
Oh,
and
this.
then
Thank you.
and this is what so I just got to
yeah.
what should I get? No. Okay. Okay, so I've just given my class a test and I've scanned the answer sheet and what I normally do is bring the answer sheet up on the board. So if I put the answer sheet up on Smartboard, and then I wanted to block out the keywords that I know they have difficulty with. Is that possible?
So what program would you normally bring it up in?
Oh, I don't know.
Word.
In Word or in Adobe
Not Adobe, I
Or
think
is
it's
it
in the Word. It's
picture?
just, no, it's just a scanned document. I'm not sure what it is actually.
Okay.
I've got it on my things. I've actually done it on purpose. I've got it on my email. So if I brought it up on my email and then opened it, would I be able to open this?
But it's a scan.
Is it a scan? Would it work?
Yes, it would,
Oh.
essentially. So it depends where you're going to bring it up in. Sometimes when you scan it, it'll turn it into a PDF,
Yeah.
in which case you just open up a PDF and then it'll work like writing over a web browser.
Just be very careful because the computers in this college have a tendency to try to open PDFs in Microsoft Edge, and all of these smart functionality does not agree with Microsoft Edge for some reason. So
If you
be
wanted
careful about
yeah.
where you open it in.
If you wanted the full functionality of Smart Notebook, you can just do import. No, I don't want to save that. And then you can import lots of different files. Oh no, there's only a few of them that way. PowerPoints can come in that way.
This one I had problems before. It wouldn't upload, and that's what I had as far as I was.
Yeah, you can take like a print screen of it. So up here they have got
So you said,
Camera.
yeah.
so when you say a print screen, would I take it from my scanned work? How would I do the print screen?
Once you have it up.
So there's also actually if I wanted
Capture, isn't it, or something?
yeah, there's capture tools are also in.
That's funny. Where is it? It should be on.
So you can capture straight from these widgets here.
Sure.
So there's
Yeah.
this capture, and I can capture the wiggly line. So if I wanted just to capture that section there, it will take a picture of that, and then I can send it to Notebook, and now I've got that bit there.
So now you want to write on that, do you?
And now, if this is now in Smart Notebook, so then I can annotate, I can rub out, I can do everything I wish in Smart Notebook.
Okay, but if I've got it scanned, would I need to have it open and then open it on Smart Node?
It's hard to tell because I don't know what file it's been inputted as. Essentially, open it up and just start writing over the top of it with a pen.
Well, I suppose, let's say it's a Word document that you scanned and import it. Is this the question?
Sometimes
It's
I
not
think
been
it's
imported yet.
No, but if
It's-
Patricia, are you suggesting Patricia import her scanned document?
You definitely could do it that way.
I can.
If it's as a picture and it opens up like this,
Yeah.
you could then just pick up a pen and start writing over the top.
Alright.
These options will appear here, so you have got the ability to be writing in a thick white.
Okay.
So
So
that
those,
might work, Patricia.
My
So those are
finger
my
is a thick
options?
white. So you could then do it like that, but it'll be through these tools here.
Okay.
And then if you erase that white in the back of your hand, you're revealing the
So
answer.
I can still do it that way instead. That's
Yeah.
fine. That's fine. Because what it is that because keywords are important,
That's right.
and because I like to bring up the answer sheet to show them how they're how the answers are being generated,
Yeah, of course.
and the keywords in the questions, they've got to know that that's the keyword that's going to generate that extra mark. If I highlight the word, then they'll know that's the word to look out
Yeah.
for.
And then within that there, I mean, you've also got that highlighting tool, so you can highlight throughout as well.
Alright then, that's fine, I'll do that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
If it doesn't work, email me and we'll find a way.
Okay.
I just noticed that it says here Smart WAES Maths. Do you have Smart WAES English?
I can
Not
definitely.
you personally, but in general it's been created as well or not?
I haven't. So I'm currently the person that does professional development for Smart. So a
yeah.
lot of you wanted Smart math stuff,
Fine.
so I came and did some Smart math stuff. If you want me to come and do an English day, then that's another conversation that we can
Fine.
have
Yeah,
and do it
okay.
that way.
I just, yes, good. I saw these were already
I've just created those for now.
To a great extent, you know, what you've just done now, what Patricia's suggesting, you know, scanning a document and whether importing it
I
or
just
not,
do
you can
one
do that
thing.
with text.
yes,
I'm
I'm pretty,
Within Smart Exchange, they have got a file just for English documents,
yes.
so you can search, and those will
It's
just be
not that I
English
teach
related
English
things
anyway.
like that.
I'm
But-
dyslexic, but I do elements of it. in other classes. So just
Yeah.
okay.
No, I was going to say, if you go back to the smartboard, because I need to try something out, I'm going to be brave. And you know you brought up the compass?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm supposed to be doing bisecting of a line on Thursday, so I might
Come on up,
attempt.
Patricia.
So I'm going to just see if I can have the courage to do it. Excuse me. So what we're going to have, let me think what we're going to have. We're going to have, so, excuse me, okay.
No?
So I've got my straight line, is that correct?
Yeah.
So that's my straight line. So I'm going to have, oh sugar, why have I got two?
Your other
Because
number.
your little finger came on as well.
Okay, right, this is the best button as far as I'm concerned. Is this right? That's it, this is it. Right, so then, to move this, how do I move this over? Oh no,
You've selected with your finger
So that's
to
what
be a straight line.
yeah.
So your finger will always make a straight line.
So I've got to unselect.
So now I've selected your finger to be a selecting tool.
Okay.
Okay?
So my finger's the pen, okay.
Your finger
So,
is now a
If
selecting
I want my
tool.
finger to be this, touch it. Do I touch it from here?
It's, all that does is bring it onto it. So I'm going to start up a new page. So you've got nothing.
Okay.
Go.
So, straight line, yeah? Right.
You've selected your finger to be a straight line.
Okay,
So now your finger will be that straight line.
my finger's going to be the straight line. Okay.
Yeah?
That's my finger, a straight line. Now I'm going to
Your
select.
finger is still a straight line.
So,
Deselect.
so I always deselect.
Deselect.
Yeah.
Okay, always deselect then.
Back
Alright
onto the
then.
pointer.
Oh yeah, blue. Okay.
Pointer.
Oh, back onto the pointer.
Yeah.
What's the pointer doing?
That's just your selecting button
Okay.
to move things around.
Okay, right. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to select this. Is that right? Now, if I want to have this moved, do I touch this?
Yeah. Because your finger is a touchy thing.
Yeah. So, all right then. Okay. 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 Now I want to go back to a pointer. So I'm just going to put a straight line here.
And you can see it's jumping. It's already 45 degrees, look. Because it
Yeah, I know.
roughly knows that.
So now things I want to. So if I want to set it, so I want the this bit to come up and do an arc on my line. So
So at the moment, your compass is closed.
yeah,
So you're going to need to open your compass, aren't you?
yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah.
So I open. Okay.
So that's just, you can see all that's doing
yeah, it's just
is just jumping from side to side.
Yeah,
So if you were to hold the compasses, think about a pair of compasses.
yeah.
How would you separate them?
I just
You wouldn't just, what would you do?
I'd open it.
Go on then, open it.
Like a real one.
But
Like a real one.
I wouldn't. How?
You
Could
use
I-
two fingers.
If you've
Would
got
you
a pair of
actually do
compasses
that?
there,
Oh,
what would you do?
I wouldn't do that though, would that?
Yeah, you would.
Yeah, I
See?
would. All right, then. Excuse me. So then
What colour is it at the moment?
it's got no colour, so it needs a colour.
It isn't got a colour, it's white.
It's a white colour.
Yeah,
Okay.
you could use a pen if you wish.
I've got, okay, if I wanted it red.
Pick up a red pen. And what, there you go, it's red.
Okay. And then I could do.
What are you doing at the
I'm
moment?
trying to get an arc.
Yeah, but your finger is
Yeah.
moving it.
Ah.
If you want the pen to move it,
Mhm.
use the pen to move it.
But I want the protractor to make the arc
What colour?
red.
Go on then.
So use the
your
red
pen
pen
to
to
draw.
drag the
Oh,
red
somebody
pen.
has used the pen to draw
There you
the
go.
arc.
Because your finger is the select, your finger moves the compass, your pen moves that, unless you change your finger to a pen, and then your finger will be a pen.
Okay, so then my pen is up to this. Sorry.
That's fine.
Sorry about this, folks.
No, it's exactly.
So this
No,
is going to be my
that's-
pen. So this is
Yeah.
going to be an arc. If I want to move it here, but I don't want it moved, that's an arc here.
Yeah.
If I want to bring it away there, alright then.
Because your pen was really, you were holding your pen like this
Yeah.
and trying with your finger, so it's got that.
Alright
That's a fact. It's
then.
done.
Okay, so then now I want to deselect. So I want to take this. Can I move this from?
Yeah.
Yes, I
You
can.
pick up same as on a piece of paper. You pick it up with the finger, and it moves it with the finger.
I'm going to take this here.
And it's now that one there. Yep.
And I need, okay then, alright then. Okay, okay.
I've
Okay.
bombarded you with a million different things.
No, but the thing is, I just have to understand
It's just
that.
having a play.
Yeah, but that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do. Oh, let's just put it here. So it's gonna be a straight line. So this is, for example, they've got to do. So deselect, and then it's got to be using this. Am I doing this right? I'm Wait. Oops. Oh no, I've got to deselect, haven't I? Also, I've got to 2, that's fine. So, to set it, do I just head there?
Use one finger and just move it apart. On this,
Oh, okay.
pick that arm and then move it apart.
Alright then. Whenever I want to make a red,
Yep.
I'll move it around here. Brilliant.
Yeah. It's
Thank you.
just having a play, and it might be that the first week or two they all look like this until you get using it, and I'm afraid that I've been doing this.
So do you want to close what are you trying to do?
I'm
Close
trying
it?
to close it, so I'm just trying to.
So take the arm that closes and
So that's a
with one-
movie one.
Ah,
That's
so
a
this-
closey one.
So this one I'm going to put it there.
Yep.
Leave that one there.
Yep.
And there's this one.
That
Not
one
the pen,
draws.
not
you,
the
you
pen.
selected the pen, so the pen draws. If you select the arm moves.
The arm is movement.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's my arm moving
Yep.
here. Okay.
And then touch the pen, and the pen will move.
So if I want, okay, so touch the pen. Okay, got this.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very, very much. Really, it's very
It's just
good.
one of those things that, yes, I've bombarded you with a million different things and made it look easy.
So
It's, I've been
you
doing
can't
it
Really impressed.
day in, day
Well,
out for the
think
last
about
5
it,
years.
but it makes sense. You touch the pen, you touch the actual arm as if you're touching the arm.
Exactly that.
It's kind of, it's one of those weird technological things where you're just like, that's incredibly intuitive, but also it's so intuitive it's complicated. It's just-
It's
not
so
that,
intuitive,
it's
you
just
don't
that-
believe it.
yeah, exactly.
It's incredible.
The
But I think
tagline
it's-
Smart had a
it's
couple
letting
of
it
years
go,
ago
it's letting
was
go.
collaborate naturally.
Yes.
And the whole point of this is that it naturally worked. You don't have to think about how you use it. The fact that you move that arm, it moves it. This one moves the side. This one is your pen.
Yeah.
And that, because it makes too much sense,
It's hard to.
That's
Yeah, it's a,
That's it.
it doesn't
That's
work.
it,
It's,
yeah.
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 so think less and it should work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right because I've overthink.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's because
yes,
Microsoft,
It's
no,
just
no
literally
offense
just-
Microsoft, you have to overanalyze and you have to overthink it and then it works.
And again, Tricia, I'm thinking, during the break, you can just leave a spare slide up there and invite your students to come up and play around themselves, during a break, for example, just give them confidence.
Yeah.
I can get the what is confidence. What I want to do is, the lesson I want to teach, I want to get them to come up there and.
Totally,
And
that
do
at
it.
any rate, yeah.
Very good.
A student-centered exploration to discovery.
I believe so. Yeah.
It's that. Essentially, sit down, get them to do it. If you've forgotten how to use a protractor, right, you go and draw one. No, not like that. Try again. No, like that. That's it. Well done. You had no idea what you were doing, but they figured it out and they stumbled across it.
Because normally we have in my life we had an oversized protractor and compass that would be used on the board, and that's how we did it. That's how it was done. But here it is.
And surprise, surprise, you held that arm still, and that one you moved into the right place.
Yeah. Exactly.
But because it's big and clunky,
Yeah.
we knew what to do with it.
Yeah.
And Smart used exactly the same operations, but hid it away in a tool bar here, as opposed to hid it away somewhere and then you could never find it when you actually needed it.
So all the tools that I want to use, I can bring them to the forefront and just have them ready for go. Alright then.
You want to use a protractor in an ESOL lesson? You can do that.
Exactly. You can draw the smiley face with it.
It's very good. It's very interesting.
Good.
Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome.
And it's so impactful and useful, again, like Joe was saying, in particular for our learners who are visual.
Today's learners are visual, and that's the way forward. That is it. Nobody's done to pen and paper any longer. And I think that, they're just good.
And kinesthetic learners were the ones who hopefully will be going up and
Comes with a lot
exploring
of different
and
styles of learning as well.
embeds everything. Oops, that-
Yeah. It's very engaging as well, which I think is even more so.
You see, I can teach math from students with learning difficulties that are perhaps learning math skill of the age of 5 to level 2 math, which is the highest level I teach here. It covers all the schools,
I work with
especially the
Dutch.
games. Yeah?
Mm.
The games, I'm gonna go for the games. Because that was not for the adult
You should
students, but
actually
my
say go
students,
for
the
the
learning
multiplier.
difficulty, will enjoy
And the
the
magic,
games.
they will love that magic.
They will love the games.
Yeah.
And then the games are defined by function. Therefore, all I had to set are the elements of the function.
Within that smart exchange there are loads on there to give you ideas as well.
Yeah.
Some great ones made by somebody called Mr. Hartwright, that I recommend all of those.
Mr.
Hartwright.
Is that for maths?
They're just ones that I've uploaded. Just a complete shameless plug. But there's lots and lots of different
Yeah,
ones.
I'm very impressed. I might contribute to some games, but
So how often does this get updated? I mean, I can see it's very sort of up to date.
The Smart Notebook,
Yeah.
roughly annually.
Okay.
Roughly. The Smart Learning Suite Online, which we looked at, is updated all the time because it's
I didn't
web-based.
see that one, okay.
So-
Online.
There was one that happened over Easter. Before then, February time. Every 2 or 3 months, because it's literally just a developer can click, yep, update, and then splash screen will come saying, oh, here's some new features, here's a video, and then there'll be someone on social media saying this is what the new one, and they'll have the product management saying this is how you do it, rather than the desktop version, because we have to get a techie person to update it on here and push it out to everybody. That process is a lot slower.
Just pop back to the online version again. For all of us, I think, over on the right-hand side, request to feature something we can all do with our own subject areas in mind, and adults versus primary school children
Yeah.
side. If we just keep feeding this back to Smart Tech.
Yeah, I mean that request a feature takes you to a forum to give feedback on that.
Forum.
Yeah. It is watched, it is used, but the one inside Smart Notebook might be a better one. There is an actual page. Ooh, Edge.
Oh, you see? Yeah.
That's what I mean. If you,
It does take you to the forum.
so it's the same forum.
I thought it was a better page than that. Perhaps I shouldn't say any of this on video. But
No one heard anything.
if you can find a place for the feature, put it on there. I will feed that back myself, because I thought there was a better
Okay.
forum for that than that. But we'll do it.
I suggest we draw this day to a close.
Absolutely.
Spot on 3:30.
Spot on. Thank you, Mark, for a very
You're
dynamic,
more than welcome.
useful, excellent
yes.
tool.
Nailed it. First time.
No hiccups.
That's a good trick, huh?
And guys, keep in touch with Mark.
Yep.
And obviously we need a lot more training, but in the interim, we need a lot more trialing ourselves.
Practice.
But yeah, we apparently can download this at home and practice.
Sorry, just 2 things about the college before Mark goes, because I do want to ask you about something else, Mark, and that is that Marcus, Mark's younger brother,
Seriously?
Really?
no, but
Well,
it
that
has
must
been
be
mentioned,
fun
and
growing up.
you picked that up
It's
at
real.
the lunch table, but he is doing an all-day drop-in session this Thursday. It's on your e-newsletter in one of the rooms in here in Lisson Grove, so check the room, and he'll be there to answer any of your forms, Teams, Smart Notebook, My Learner's Devices